So the theme of this conference, generative AI for inclusive innovation, a very corporate sounding little slogan, the sort of thing that we say when we're planning things in marketing and our strategy teams. It's a solid, proper corporate sounding thing. Generative AI for inclusive innovation, for human-centric solutions. Human-centric, that's the theme. That's where we're driving to. Human-centric, people at the center of what we do. And this is not a new discussion. Every time there's been new technology in business, whether it's strategic, whether it's technological, whether it's marketing, there's always been conferences similar to this that have discussed the issue of customer centricity, thinking about people. Human centricity, we have to talk about it at conferences because we are very bad at doing it. We get so lost in the business of our businesses that we lose sight of the human beings, the very real people that sit at the end of the solutions we provide, the products that we produce. And I think we are bad at it because as humans ourselves, remembering that you yourself and you and you and you, all of us are somebody's target market. Somebody's demographic. Somebody is after our cash. Somebody wants us in their ecosystem. And they're bad at being human-centric because, quite honestly, you and me, we're often, a lot of the time, bad at surviving the world that we find ourselves in. We're not sure how to find our way, how to be at peace with where we are so we can not only succeed, but maybe succeed with a little bit of peace of mind. Because modern life is a constant tension between the pace and the demands on us and our personal well-being. Regardless of technology, life has always followed a similar pattern throughout the ages, whether it was 2 decades ago, or 100 years ago, or 500 years ago, or 5,000 years ago. And the pattern in life was this: understand what is important for survival, and then do those things. Navigate personal relationships. And as you do these things, hopefully learn some lessons and get better at doing the first 2 things. The problem, of course, is that it's not always that simple because these goals change. The things that are important change and evolve. When we think we've got it worked out, there's something new we're supposed to be thinking about. 5,000 years ago, life was pretty simple. You had 2 things on your to-do list: find food, find shelter, and maybe a third: don't die. It was a very simple list. It was difficult, but you weren't confused about what you were supposed to be doing. So we were anxious about hunting, anxious about finding an animal on the plains to hunt that would feed us for a day, for a week. And when we succeeded in the hunt, we experienced great joy because our immediate problem was solved. But that great joy only lasted for a day. You have a great meal tonight, but tomorrow you're immediately anxious again. Where's the next one going to come from? Will we succeed again when we go out? If you find shelter, you experience some pleasure, some joy, but you're immediately anxious about, will I be able to protect it? Will it disappear in a natural disaster? Are we safe here? Fast forward a long time to where we find ourselves now. Now we're not sure what's important. What are the things that are important for our survival? And we're not entirely sure. And on top of that, we have so much demand on our time and our attention. Our phones, our emails, our PCs, our lives are constantly demanding our attention for things that are important and a lot of things that are not. When I was 13, I left school. I had just started high school, and with blessing of my parents, I left school and went and joined a high-control religious group, a religious cult. And that's where I spent the next 25 years. And when you're in such an organization, every part of your life tends to be controlled or is a little bit out of your own control. What I thought about the world was fed to me. My schedule was controlled. The media I consumed. So every part of my life was controlled. I had a very firm view of the world, a world that I had insulated myself from, and a world that I was trying to save, because there are organizations and religious groups all around the world that want to save the world, and we want to save you with our brand of saving. And you might ask, was the time well spent? Well, the world is still here, so you're welcome. But in truth, at the age of 38, after 25 years of being there, I had a bit of an awakening, and I left along with my wife and my then 17-year-old son, and I found myself going out into the world with no education, no corporate background, and about, at that time, around 1 million rupees in debt, into this world that I'd insulated myself from for so long. And I wasn't sure what I would do when I was out. But this was 2010. And coincidentally, 2010 was the start of the decade in which social media would have massive influence, and in large measure is responsible for the world we find ourselves in now. Social media had been around for a few years: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, BlackBerry Messenger. But it was this decade, the 2010s, when it would have this influence. And it was a miracle to me that, given my background, someone who had no real background for any kind of career at the age of 38, utilizing social media, social platforms, modern technology, I was able to build networks. I was able to connect with people, with industries, and over the next 12 years, find a little bit of success as a public speaker, as a marriage officer, as Joni highlighted, and an esports commentator, which I have to say, the esports is what got me through the pandemic. I was a person who got to travel a lot, interacted with people a lot. That's kind of what I love to do, and now suddenly found myself stuck at home for long periods of time. So it was esport that kind of got me through that. Are there gamers in the room? Who are the gamers? There's got to be some, surely. We have one. Are you the only gamer in the entire room? Does anybody else play video games? Okay, and a woman. This is a miracle. This is like a unicorn. It's fantastic. Well done. Outstanding. Any other gamers? There. Okay, so so now a very niche question of the gamers. Who plays Rocket League? Holy moly, have I got a lot of work to do. All right, fine. That's sad to see. Rocket League is my game. So I did these 3 things, 3 different industries, having some success at it. And it's not even that it was actually quite simple to do. I mean, these platforms provided a way to just connect up. It was amazing to me. And because I was able to do that, I got very excited about the potential of these technologies. I mean, we saw the Arab Spring of 2011, 2012. Despotic regimes were being threatened by masses who could now organize themselves. Brands were being held accountable by their customers on social media. Artists were able to cut out the middleman and be able to build their own audiences and connect directly with them on YouTube and Twitch. So it was a remarkable time. And I truly believe that this new world, this world of social media, this world of technology was going to be a revolution for all that is good in the world. Instant communication and transparency would banish the dictators, the despots, the corporate bad actors. It was going to be an amazing time in the light. But in truth, by 2015, the shine was already coming off all of these technologies, because we came to see, we'd experienced a lot of the light, but we were coming to see the darkness that comes with it. the downsides of these very same technologies, the spread of disinformation, the building of echo chambers, the breakdown of social physical interaction. Entire nations were suddenly being polarized socially, politically, and through the pandemic, even medically. We have all lived through this revolution. We've seen the light, and we've also come to see the darkness. And now we stand at the dawn of AI, artificial intelligence. And honestly, we ask ourselves the question, are we even ready? And while the potential, the possibilities are immense, and we see it there, that we're all a little nervous about, okay, what is this actually going to mean? We've seen one revolution. Now it's coming again. Are we ready? But this is the human condition. We are capable of wonderful light and doing wonderful things. We're also capable of doing horrendously bad. So here we are at the start of another revolution in a time of revolutions. It feels like the 21st century has been nothing but revolutions. But now if you look at this objectively, this story has repeated again and again since humans settled into communities, into villages, towns, cities, and nations. Through every advance in our technology and our capability, we have brought both the dark and the light. This is what we do as humans. But on the balance, it looks like we do at least, let's call it 55% more good than bad. Somehow, some way, the world has advanced. Civilization has advanced, and we're living in a far better time today than we have in the past. But the struggle we deal with today, right now, is that given the dawn of AI, the light we bring shines very bright, but it also brings much darker shadows. And the story is old, but it's far more urgent today because of the sheer magnitude of our advances and the pace with which we have to deal with it. But of course, we know there is no turning back. None of the technology we develop and let loose in the world, we can never put it back in the box. One of the privileges of getting older is that we talk to younger people about a far simpler time, and we wish we could go back to those simple times. But there is no going back. We know there is only going forward. And think about how so much, never before has so much of our lives been documented. We're taking photographs, video, writing blogs, writing tweets of every conceivable thing that happens in our lives. And we are constantly exposed to the fabulous lives of other people that we probably don't like, but somehow we feel pressure to be like them, and we envy their lives and have no idea of the insecurities that they face and the worries that they face. We just see the photos for the gram, and somehow we aspire to be like them, even when we're not sure that we like them. And through it all, we are seeing the rise of very real and very personal problems. Things like comparison. We almost obsessively want to compare our lives to other people's, whether that's a co-worker, a neighbor, or a celebrity that you will never meet. And we even make it worse through conferences like this. Because what are we trying to do here? We want to understand AI. We want to understand technology so that we can build systems, we can build solutions, services, and products that will speak to the algorithms that people are fed, so that we talk to their desires and we talk to their insecurities. And these issues include things like lack of physical connection. Teenagers who are learning about personal social interaction online through Zoom meetings and more. We have echo chambers where the things you see on social platforms are what the algorithm has learned that you like. So you will see things that matches your values, matches what you agree with. So you feel very good about your beliefs. But the problem is you're never challenged. Your views are never challenged. So when they are challenged, when you come across someone who challenges that, we feel very anxious, very nervous, maybe a little angry, maybe a little bit depressed. So we have these mental health issues, depression, anxiety, general mental disturbance. And of course, toxic hustle culture has made it worse. You've all seen those videos. There are famous people who have followings in the millions that tell you to work, 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 work. You can have whatever you want as long as you work. And you give up your personal relationships, you give up your time, you give up your mental well-being. Well, that's the price to be financially independent. Because apparently money can't buy happiness, but it's far better to cry in your Mercedes. So it's all a huge challenge. All of this craziness has made happiness and mental well-being a huge challenge. And it's a challenge because humans are not programmed for happiness. The truth is that being happy is not important for survival. From a physical, genetic point of view, happiness is not part of the equation. In fact, you are more likely, if you go back thousands and thousands of years when we were living out on the plains, you were far more likely to survive if you were nervous and anxious and very concerned about what might hurt you in the environment. People who were happy and walked through, got eaten, got killed, and never had the chance to reproduce. But the anxious, the nervous, the fearful produced plenty. And here we are. But the things that used to threaten us aren't a threat anymore. None of you in this room are concerned about when you will next eat. Many of us are hoping to skip a meal or two. None of you are worried about where you will sleep tonight. The things that threatened your survival and made you anxious and nervous don't threaten your survival anymore. So we've traded fear about shelter and food for fear about gadgets and likes. And we're not sure if that's what's important or what we should be concerned about. But there's enough things telling us that it should be, so that's what makes us nervous. So being a little bit happy, having a bit of tranquility of mind, means that we have to hack our own brains. We have to reprogram ourselves to want that, to attain that. We live in this amazing time with easy access to everything we actually need for our own survival. From the standpoint of your ancestors, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, great-great-great-great-grandparents, you are living the life they could only dream of. If they could see the life you live now, they would have believed the sacrifices they made in the hard times they lived through were worth it. And they would be completely mystified as to why you're so anxious, so tense, often depressed, so overworked. Simple things like refrigeration, access to food, access to shelter, access to medical drugs, access to global transportation. Joni was talking, someone asked her, when did you get it? She says, I don't know, I think it was Tuesday. That's how busy we can become. We're not even sure what day it is anymore because you're in one continent one day, on the other side of the world a day later. Your great-great-grandparents would be amazed that we had that. So why are we so anxious, so overworked, so worried? We're worried because we're concerned about the things we think are important to our survival and the fact that we don't have them. Whether it's likes or views or a new gadget or a sales quote or whatever it is. And the thing that used to make us worried about surviving today is making us worried about stupid things. So if you can maneuver through your own life with a mind that is tranquil, you may just be in the right frame of mind to see more opportunities and maybe even find a little bit of happiness in all the madness. The best tool you have in the turbulence of the world of artificial intelligence, which we hear a lot about today, is your natural reason. This is the greatest gift of our big brains, is that we have the capacity, the ability to reason. And it is natural to us. We just get kind of caught up in other things. So if we can navigate the world with a calmness of mind in a world that is so rushed, in a world that allows no space to use our reason, perhaps we can find a little bit of a success. So let's start here. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. This was said by Marcus Aurelius, the last great emperor of Rome. He was known as the philosopher king. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. And that's where we start to reprogram ourselves. Because taking control of your own thoughts is the path to having a little bit of peace of mind. But this does take work. It requires application of effort over time. So let's work on these things. First, understanding the triality of control. Triality means three. There are three parts of control. So much of your life and what goes on in your life is out of your control. Think about the events of today, or maybe yesterday, things that happened. How much of what happened yesterday you could have no part in controlling? Well, there are three parts to control. There are things you don't control. There are things you control completely. And there are things you partly control. So you probably, depending on your level in your business, probably have no control of whether it gets acquired or merged or liquidated, which means you probably have no direct, real control of whether you get promoted or fired. You have part control. You can do your job very well to the best of your ability. And sometimes, as you know, in the corporate madness, sometimes that's not enough. Because my cousin would really like your job. So the first part of establishing a little bit of tranquility is worrying only about the things you have direct control of or which you can partly control, and only on the parts that you are able to control. Because when there are crazy situations and you are tense and anxious, nothing changes. Those situations still exist. They just exist with you being anxious. So you should be worrying and focusing only on what you can control. This starts to bring a little bit of control to your own emotions. Because you think, okay, that situation over there, can I do anything about it? No? All right, let me focus my attention on what I can do. What positive thing I can do right now, or what in my immediate environment I could change, my work, my personal relationships, whatever it may be. So with that in mind, your mind is the only thing you completely own. Think of your possessions. Your car, your house, your friendships, your family. Nothing around you completely own, because it can be taken away from you. Whether you break up with a partner or a partner passes away, your house burns down in a fire, gets repossessed by the bank, you have an accident, your car, all the possessions, all the things, even your own body, you don't have complete control of, because you can be imprisoned. Justly or unjustly, so you can't move freely. You can lose a limb. You can get really sick in a way that makes it difficult for you to move around or do what you want to do. But your mind, you own completely. Because whatever happens to you in this world, your mind will be with you. And you can choose what to think and about your situation and how to respond, how to react to it. You control that absolutely. You don't control much of what happens in the environment around you, but you do control your own mind and what you think. And the first thing in any point of adversity is to accept what you can't control. How many of you get upset when you read the news or watch the news or get on wherever, however you access what is happening in the world around you? And right now we have some terrible things going on in the world. We feel upset by it. Some of us will even, it affects how we work in the day because you're worried about what can you do about it? Absolutely nothing. It is out of your control. So if you're anxious about it, that is wasted emotion, wasted effort. You can empathize, nothing wrong with that. But when you get sucked into it, so first, accept that you have no control of the situations you don't. And then you can move forward. You have power over your own mind, not over events that happen external to you. So a path to reason, natural reason, is having the self-control and the discipline to focus on what you can change directly. And when we are faced with adversity, and we're all faced with adversity, use it as an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. Why are we so surprised by situations that happen? How about traffic? Why are we still so surprised about traffic? I live in Johannesburg. I haven't done a lot of traveling on the roads in Mauritius. The little bit I have done, you have traffic. This is not something that is a myth in the island life. For some reason, you've also done stupid things with how to get ourselves around. But I live in Joburg, and we have conferences like this, and they start at 9 o'clock in the morning. People arrive at 9:30. Oh, the traffic. You've lived here your whole life. How are you surprised that the traffic was bad on a Tuesday morning? Yet we sit in traffic going, what can we control? You can't control an accident ahead of you or idiots on the road. You have part control. You can get up early enough, maybe build in some time in case of a problem. That's pretty much all you can do. Make sure you got gas in the tank. You've covered your bases. The rest is out of your control. Yet we're surprised when it happens. What about bad customer service? Your food arrives cold, it arrives late, it's whatever, a rude person. We're shocked, we're horrified. Why are we being surprised? Why are we letting ourselves get upset and our mental tranquility disturbed because of a rude? Maybe if we just left in the day and say, it's quite likely there's going to be bad traffic. It's quite likely I'm going to run into bad service. So when it happens, we're not shocked and horrified by it. Gossiping colleagues. Gossiping family. When we hear about it, we're angry. What? We're angry about gossip. We're surprised that it happens. Yet we do it. People who are incompetent. Happens every single day. So let's stop being surprised by these things. Broken cars, broken appliances, leaky roofs. Control what you can, except that you don't have control of the rest. Because you have control of how you think and how you respond. Your choices are what give you control in your life. A reasoned choice. And reasoned means unemotional, balanced, based on what you can control. You make choices of how you respond and react to things because your mind is shaped by what you think and your actions are shaped, will follow from what you think. And your character is shaped by your actions. We know you by your actions in the world. We all know, I don't know, hopefully no one in this room, but if no one in this room, you certainly know someone who seems to be angry all the time. Usually, it's a parent or a grandparent who shouts at the TV, shouts at things, and they're angry. And they have chosen somewhere along the way to spend their lives being frustrated and angry about things around them they can do nothing about. But that is a choice. Your angry granddad is exercising his power of choice, and he's chosen to be that way. You don't need to be. When your girlfriend breaks up with you, you can cry into your coffee. Your girlfriend will still not like you. Or you can go, okay, what do I learn from this? And please, nothing of this is easy. This is a constant ongoing life challenge to be disciplined enough to accept what you can't control and not to get overworked by things you can't. But in adversity, you choose to feel angry or scorned or depressed or defeated. But that accomplishes nothing. The situation remains as it is. With some discipline, you can choose other ways with which to respond, to take some control of your life back into your own hands. Comparison, delay, and instant gratification. Comparison and instant gratification are honestly two of the great technological diseases that we all suffer from. We obsessively compare ourselves to other people. We assume that what we see of their lives is what their lives are like all the time. We assume when we go out that people are thinking about, you think people are thinking about you far more than they ever do. Have you ever gone through half the day and noticed that your zip has been down the whole day? You feel mortified. Oh my word, what have people thought? Nobody noticed. If they did, they didn't care. And I challenge you to this. The next time you notice that, do nothing about it. Decide to spend the rest of the day with your zip open. But we compare. We worry about what other people think of us. And the reason people aren't thinking about you is because they're doing what you're doing. They're worried about their zip falling down when they didn't notice. They're worried about their hair, their lipstick, their face, their fat, their thin, whatever. We're so wrapped up in our own securities, we're not even aware that the person right next to us has a huge problem that they think everybody is seeing. So comparison is a terrible disease. Comparison is the thief of joy. If you want to remove and suck out all the joy of your life, compare yourself to other people. Why is that person getting promoted? Why are they doing better than me? How come they got this and I don't? How come they can drive a car like that? How can he got that phone that I can't get? How does that person find a woman that loves him? And the other great disease is instant gratification. We've been conditioned and told that we can get what we want right now. And we want it right now. And the world has provided it, for the most part, for us. Through financial instruments, we can get things we can't afford. I remember my first credit card. It was the most amazing thing. I was given a credit card by the bank, and I promised myself I would never use it. A year later, I realized I didn't own a hi-fi. It was a miracle. I walked into a shop with no money. I was broke and walked out with a hi-fi and find a stack of CDs. It was amazing. Instant gratification will give you the loans. You can get what you want. We've got apps that will deliver it. And so we learn that if we want it, we must get it now. And if we wait for it, that just makes us anxious. It makes us nervous. And if we can break these two habits, we will do wonders for our personal well-being. And a great tool in that is delay. Delay things. And when you feel you desperately want an ice cream, and you know without a shadow of a doubt, when you finish that ice cream, you're going to feel bad. You're going to feel fat, and you're going to be frustrated because you know you shouldn't have it. So just add a little bit of delay. I want an ice cream so bad. Okay, I'll get it in an hour. And then after an hour, you've probably moved on with your life. If you haven't, I'll get it another hour. Just add delay. Delay is a wonderful tool. Your phone, as we stand here now, while I've been talking, has been beeping, has been vibrating. And you get a little bit of a tick every time it does. And the problem is that it vibrates the same whether what is happening on your phone is really important or if it is not. But we've got to check just in delay. I'll check my messages at the end. During the break, I'll have a look. We get so anxious about it that we do it while we drive. We want the perfect holder so I can see my messages. Maybe they can be spoken to me. That's ridiculous. Add some delay. Delay is a wonderful way to gain control of your own life and your own emotions. There is almost nothing that has happened this week that has demanded your immediate attention and action. And there's a great quote that says the only people that ever notice how hard you work are your kids. Delay. Wrest control of your life a little bit. So, don't compare. Go for delayed gratification. You want the newest phone? Break the cycle of not getting the newest phone. Get the old one in 2 years. Negative visualization. We've been taught, and it's not a bad thing, to visualize the things we want. So you go, okay, what do I want? This is the job I want, the career path. This is the sort of partner I want, the car I want, the house I want, the amount of money I want when I want to retire. You envision and you visualize the perfect life because maybe you can speak it into the universe. The universe is far too busy killing other parts of the universe to worry about you. So maybe practice negative visualization. We hear about gratitude. You should be grateful for what you have. Your great-great-great-great-grandparents would be horrified that you aren't happy with everything you have right now. So maybe spend half the time visualizing what you want. Spend half of that time imagining your life without those things. What would my life be? How would I survive if I got fired and had a lower paying job? What would happen if I lost my partner, if I lost my sight, if I couldn't hear anymore? If circumstances changed and my house burned down and I had to live where I grew up in that terrible part of town? Spend some time visualizing your life without what you have, because that solves two problems, or it serves two functions. First, it's a little bit of mental training, because if your circumstances do change, well, you've spent a bit of time thinking about it. It also makes you appreciate what you already have. And along with negative visualization, is that my mic that's doing that? I'm going to hold on to it just in case. Keep wanting to blame somebody else, but I do think it's my problem. Yeah, it is, definitely. Practice voluntary discomfort. That means deliberately put yourself into uncomfortable situations. If it's cold outside, go out and be underprepared for that cold weather. Wear a thin jacket instead of your big warm one. Or if it's raining, don't take a raincoat. Experience discomfort. Sleep on the floor occasionally. Go out, go without your favorite food for a month or a week or for some period of time. Deliberately put yourselves in discomfort. And again, that gives you practice for if circumstances of life change, you've practiced. You know what it's like to sleep on the floor. You've been there. It's not great, but you can do it. So these are some of the things we can do to maybe wrestle a bit of control back in our lives, maybe find a bit of tranquility, a little bit of happiness. So to sum all of this up, you control very little of what happens around you. But you have complete control of your own mind and how you choose to respond to whatever happens in your life. It is your choices that determine your tranquility of mind. And you have control of your choices. And no one is really responsible. No one, I guess, coming back to the comparison point, No one is looking out for you as much as you think they are. No one is thinking about you as much as you think they are. So, we love ourselves more than we love anybody in this world. Yet we're happy to take the opinions and the advice of complete strangers about whom we know nothing. And you go, oh, well, they must know a thing or two. Why? So to sum all of this up, to wrap it all up, humans have to be at the heart of our technological advances. This is why we're here. Generative AI for inclusion, human-centric solutions. But perhaps to find human-centric solutions, we have to be better humans. We've got to be doing better at this ourselves. Otherwise, we bring our baggage to the strategy table. Artificial intelligence is always going to need our natural reason. And reprogramming ourselves like this takes work. It may take a lifetime to master. You may never succeed. But the pursuit of a tranquil mind at least gives you a philosophy to follow. It gives you something to hang on to in turbulent times and storms. It may not be a philosophy that is compatible to you. Maybe you've already figured out your own life philosophy, and that's okay if it works for you. If it hasn't and you're struggling, maybe this is a way. And this is not my philosophy. I didn't come up with this. I'm not clever to have figured this out. This is philosophy, and if you want to pursue it further, it's pretty much the philosophy of Stoicism, developed thousands of years ago by Greeks, perfected by the Romans, and then lost for a long time until probably the last 20, 30, or 40 years. So it's just a way to try and navigate our way through. There has never been a greater time to do great things than right now. The possibilities of what you can do, the great things you can do, are far greater with a mind that is at peace with itself. The human experience is not a battle that you have to win. It's a constant process. It's a pendulum that always swings from the light to the dark. Your reasoned choices will help see you through, will help keep that pendulum to the light as much as possible. Because you must not forget, we must not forget that we are human beings. Good luck.